The rain had been falling for hours. Not the gentle kind that soothed tired souls, but the relentless kind, cold, sharp, unforgiving, soaking through coats and shoes, blurring city lights into long streaks of gold and white. The kind of rain that made people hurry, heads down, hearts closed. The woman stepped out of the taxi slowly. Her heels touched the wet marble driveway of the Aurelius Grand Hotel, one of the most luxurious hotels in the city. The canopy above the entrance glowed warm and inviting, a sharp contrast to the storm outside. Bellhops in tailored uniforms stood beneath it, dry and comfortable, laughing softly among themselves. None of them moved. Not when she opened the car door. Not when she struggled slightly to lift her overnight bag. Not when the driver glanced at them, waiting. The woman paid the driver, thanked him quietly, and closed the door herself. She stood there for a moment, rain dripping from the edges of her coat, water pooling around her shoes. Her shoulders sagged, not from the weight of the bag, but from exhaustion deeper than muscle or bone. Her name was Naomi Carter. At 42, Naomi had learned how to walk into rooms without announcing herself. She had learned how to soften her voice, how to choose neutral colors, how to make herself smaller so others could feel bigger. Years of boardrooms, negotiations, and silent battles had taught her restraint. Tonight, though, she was tired. She had flown in from Zurich after a 17-hour meeting marathon, her flight delayed twice, her phone buzzing non-stop with messages she hadn't had the energy to read. All she wanted was a shower, a quiet room, and sleep. This hotel, her hotel, was supposed to be that place. She adjusted her coat and walked toward the entrance. The glass doors slid open smoothly. Inside, warmth wrapped around her instantly. The scent of polished wood, expensive perfume, and fresh flowers filled the air. Crystal chandeliers reflected softly off marble floors. Everything was immaculate. Perfect. At the front desk, two receptionists stood side by side. One was a young white man with slicked back hair and a practiced smile. The other, a blonde woman with flawless makeup, tapped impatiently at a computer keyboard. They both looked up. Their smiles flickered. Just for a second, but Naomi saw it. She always did. The man recovered first. His smile returned, thinner this time, professional but strained. "Good evening," he said. "May I help you?" Naomi stepped forward, placing her bag beside her leg. "Yes," she replied calmly. "I'd like to check in." The man's eyes dropped, not to the reservation screen, but to her coat. Her shoes. Her bag. Not designer. Not flashy. Just simple. He typed something into the computer. "Do you have a reservation?" he asked. "Yes," Naomi said. "Under Carter." He typed again. His brow furrowed. "I'm not seeing that name," he said slowly. Naomi felt the familiar tightening in her chest. The quiet warning she'd learned not to ignore. "That's odd," she said gently. "It should be there." The blonde receptionist leaned closer, peering at the screen. "Are you sure this is the right hotel?" she asked. The words were light. Casual. But they landed heavy. "Yes," Naomi said. "I'm sure." The man cleared his throat. "We're actually fully booked tonight," he said. "There may have been a misunderstanding." Naomi blinked. "That's impossible," she said, still calm. "I know there are rooms available." The blonde woman's lips tightened. "Ma'am," she said, lowering her voice slightly, "this is a luxury hotel. All our rooms are reserved weeks in advance." Naomi held her gaze. "I'm aware," she said. A silence stretched between them. From behind Naomi, she felt it, the shift. The subtle attention of other guests waiting in line. Curious glances. Assumptions forming. The man at the desk folded his hands. "Perhaps," he said carefully, "you could try one of the hotels down the street. There are several more, affordable." "May I speak to a manager?" she asked. The man hesitated, then nodded reluctantly. "I'll see if someone is available." He disappeared through a door behind the desk. Minutes passed. 2. 3. No one spoke to Naomi. Guests were checked in around her. Smiles returned for them. Apologies offered for them. She stood alone. Invisible. Finally, the manager emerged. He was tall, middle-aged, with silver hair and a suit that screamed authority. His name badge read Richard Hale, front office manager. He didn't smile. What seems to be the issue? He asked, looking past Naomi rather than at her. She says she has a reservation, the blonde receptionist said quickly, but there's nothing in the system. Richard's eyes flicked to Naomi briefly, then back to the screen. We are fully booked, he said flatly. There's nothing we can do. Naomi's voice remained steady. I know there are executive suites available. Richard finally looked at her, really looked. His expression hardened. Those rooms are not for walk-ins, he said. Especially not without proper verification. Naomi nodded slowly. Then verify, she said. The silence that followed was thick and uncomfortable. Richard's jaw tightened. Security, he said into his radio. Please stand by the front desk. Naomi felt it then. Not surprise. Not shock. Just the deep, familiar ache of being judged without a word spoken in her defense. She glanced at the clock behind the desk. 9:21 p.m. 9 minutes. That's how long it would take for the truth to come out. But no one there knew that yet. And in those 9 minutes, every assumption they made would cost them everything. The security guard arrived quickly. He was broad-shouldered, wearing a dark uniform with the hotel's gold crest stitched over his heart. His presence alone shifted the atmosphere. Conversations lowered. The front desk staff straightened their backs. Richard Hale didn't look at Naomi when he spoke. Sir, he said to the guard, gesturing vaguely, we have a guest refusing to leave after being informed we're fully booked. Naomi turned slowly. I'm not refusing, she said calmly. I'm waiting. The guard glanced at her, then back at Richard. Waiting for what? He asked. Naomi reached into her coat pocket and pulled out her phone. For a phone call, she replied. Richard scoffed quietly. Ma'am, he said, irritation bleeding into his voice now, this isn't necessary. You're causing a scene. Naomi looked him in the eye for the first time. No, she said softly. You are. She unlocked her phone. Her hands were steady. She scrolled past unread emails, past missed calls from executives and board members, until she reached a contact saved simply as Daniel. She pressed call. The line rang once. Twice. Then, Naomi, came a man's voice, warm but alert. Is everything okay? Yes, she said. I need you to come to the Aurelius. Now. A pause. Then the tone shifted. I'm 10 minutes away, Daniel said. What happened? Naomi glanced at the front desk. At Richard, at the receptionists, at the guests watching openly now. I'll explain when you get here, she said. Thank you. She ended the call. Richard folded his arms. Your friend isn't going to change the fact that we don't have rooms, he said. Security, please escort her outside. The guard hesitated. He looked at Naomi again, really looked this time. She wasn't yelling. She wasn't begging. She wasn't angry. She was waiting. Ma'am, the guard said gently, maybe it's best. I'll wait right here, Naomi said. Her voice was quiet. Unmovable. The guard glanced at Richard, then stepped back. I'll stand by, he said. Richard's nostrils flared. This is unacceptable, he muttered. Minutes crawled. The clock ticked louder than it should have. 9:25 p.m. A couple checked in behind Naomi. The blonde receptionist smiled brightly at them, her earlier irritation gone. Naomi watched without expression. She had seen this contrast before. The ease. The assumption. The difference. Her mind drifted, unbidden, to another hotel lobby 20 years earlier. She was 22 then. A graduate student. She'd saved for months to attend a leadership conference. She remembered standing at the desk while the clerk asked 3 times if she was sure she could afford the room. She remembered the heat of humiliation burning her throat. She remembered promising herself one thing that night. If I ever have power, I will use it to protect dignity. The doors slid open again. This time, the air shifted. A man in a charcoal suit stepped inside, rain still clinging to his coat. He walked with purpose, eyes already scanning the room. When he saw Naomi, he stopped. Relief crossed his face. "Naomi," he said, moving toward her. "Are you all right?" Every sound in the lobby seemed to vanish. Richard turned sharply. "Sir," he said, "this area is for guests only." Daniel ignored him. "Did they give you trouble?" he asked Naomi quietly. She met his eyes. "Yes," she said. Daniel exhaled slowly. He turned. "Richard Hale," he said calmly. Richard stiffened. "Yes?" "My name is Daniel Whitmore," Daniel said. "Chief Operating Officer, Aurelius Hospitality Group." The color drained from Richard's face. I didn't realize." "And this," Daniel continued, placing a hand lightly on Naomi's shoulder, "is Naomi Carter." Silence. "She is," Daniel said, "the majority owner of this hotel." The world stopped. The blonde receptionist's mouth fell open. The young man at the desk froze, fingers hovering uselessly over the keyboard. Richard staggered back a step. That's not possible," he whispered. Naomi stepped forward. "It is," she said. Her voice was calm. Controlled. But it carried. "I found it, Aurelius," she continued. "I built it from a single property into 12. I don't visit often. I don't announce myself." She looked around the lobby. "Tonight," she said, "I wanted to see who you are when you think no one important is watching." Richard swallowed hard. "I sincerely apologize," he said quickly. "There's been a terrible misunderstanding." "No," Naomi said. "There hasn't." She glanced at the clock. 9:30 p.m. 9 minutes had passed. She turned back to Daniel. "Please ask HR to join us," she said. "And corporate compliance." Daniel nodded immediately, already dialing. Richard's knees looked weak. Naomi faced the front desk staff. "I asked for a room," she said. "You saw my face, my clothes, my skin, and you decided who I was." No one spoke. "You denied me service," she continued. "You threatened me with security. You told me to leave my own building." Her eyes softened, but not with mercy. "With authority," she said, "comes responsibility." She paused. "Every one of you failed that responsibility tonight." The words settled like thunder. Tears welled in the blonde receptionist's eyes. "I'm sorry," she whispered. Naomi nodded once. "So am I."